Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Beyond the Album Cover with yours truly, Jarrell Mason, aka J Mace, where we get inside the entertainment industry with those in the know and give them their flowers while they're here to be celebrated. With me right now, I have an MC from the golden era of hip hop. He put out his debut album in 1990 entitled Smooth Assassin, then hit you over the head with a lead pipe. See what I did there with his 1994
Yeah.
record. Then he did production work for Helter Skelter, Daz Effects, so on and so forth. Appearances with Positive K and the late great Big L. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for the one, the only, the incomparable Granddaddy IU. Welcome to Beyond the Album Cover, sir.
Thank you for having me, yo. What's up with you?
Not much. I appreciate you taking time out to do this interview with me.
hmm Appreciate you for having me.
Not a problem. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So where did your love of hip hop come from growing up in Hempstead, Long Island? For those that don't know Hempstead, heavy hitters come from Hempstead. Eric Sadler from the Bomb Squad, Shirley Ralph, Dr. J, Buster Rhymes, Prodigy, rest in peace, and NBA veteran Speedy Claxton.
And Method Man.
Okay. All right. So how did your love of hip hop come in being it from Hempstead?
Um, Basically, you know what I'm saying? I got into hip hop back in the days before it got on, Rappers Delight and all that, before it got on the radio, they put the records out. We had cassette tape from the battles back in the days, the Cold Cross Four versus the Fantastic Five, and you know what I'm saying, Grandmaster Flash and all the DJ battles, you know what I'm saying, Grand Wizard Theodore and all the early, the early joints, the Cool Hercs and the Bambadas and all that. And I fell in love with it automatically.
All
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah, now was it around during this time where hip hop was slowly making its way from borough to borough, or was it insulated based on your borough? Like Queens, the folks only heard what was going on in Queens and necessarily didn't know about the other DJs and crews that were popping in the other boroughs.
In Hempstead in Long Island, we didn't have a lot of DJs. We didn't have or no MCs. So when we had when we had the Cold Crush tapes and all that, we had to get them from uptown, or we had to wait until they came and did a show at one of our roller skating rinks or something like that, or the Elks Club. You know what I'm saying? And get the tape from there. So, and then we started doing our thing because we didn't have that at that time.
Mhm. Yeah, so
We
this
was
is
late.
yeah, so this is right around the time early hip
It's
hop
like
park jams, and then like you said,
yeah,
skating rinks,
78,
the
79.
armories, ballrooms, pretty much anywhere where you could fit bodies, they were throwing hip hop parties in.
Exactly. It's like 78, 79 at
Mhm.
this time.
Right.
This
So
when I got hit to it. But they had been doing it some years previous to that, but I was too young, you know what I'm saying, to even hear about it before then.
right. So definitely got to give a big shout outs to the pioneers, of course, like
The
Cool Herc, you
Pioneers.
mentioned Bambada, Jazzy
Grand
J,
Wood Theodore.
Grand Wizard Theodore,
Yeah,
Pete DJ Flowers, Eddie Chiba,
yeah.
DJ Hollywood,
Hollywood.
Disco Twins.
Disco Twins, they just was on my last live. I had to do a live a little while ago and they joined in. Shout out to them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely that. Got to know where you're standing upon in the game. Now, when you first picked up your rhyme, was there MC that you kind of wanted to model yourself after, or were you just kind of just scribbling rhymes in the book and trying to find your own style?
No, definitely. Spoonie G and early Kumo D. And like anybody that was lyrical at the time, like DLB from the Phillies Four, you know what I'm saying? He was like not for nothing, but he was like another Kumo D. Because you know what I'm saying? Because at that time he was one of the first ones like putting together the big words and the multi-syllables and all that. But they both was college students at that time. And the average rapper wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So they had that one up on everybody else. So that and storytelling of Spoonie G, that
Right,
was my that's what made me want to write.
right. And for those of you not young enough to know Kumo D, Google him. He got material upon material upon material. And then there's this battle that took place, I believe, at Harlem World with Busy B. And
Yeah,
he ate Busy B. Because Busy B was more of a party MC, do dip, not
Right.
so
Not a
socialized,
lyricist.
clean out your ears, open up your
Open
eyes.
your eyes.
But Kumo
Yeah.
D was very lyrical. Like you said, his vocabulary was very
Yeah.
high and his voice commanded a presence. You knew once Kumo D got on the mic, he meant business.
Exactly. Yeah. Busy B. Shout out to Busy B. That's my man. But Kumo D tore his ass up on that one right there.
Mhm.
Tore his ass. Yeah. Tore his ass up.
Right. And
For
also during this time as well, you heard a lot of the latest hip hop records in what was called OJs, which was kind of like what Uber and Lyft
right.
are now. And
Right.
you would want to get, let's say, Car
There
21
we go.
that had like the
Right.
freshest tape. And you were lucky to hear it. And if you were brave enough, you tried to swipe it. But if you did,
Yo,
you was gonna have a problem.
you did your research, huh?
Yes, sir.
You did your research. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yes,
what's up.
sir. I do my research, and also during this time, a lot of the earlier mixtapes were on 8 track. I believe Hollywood had some of his early sets on 8 tracks, but when listening to DJ Hollywood, his style and sound of DJing was more affluent, party, uptown. It kind of gave me the same vibes whenever I heard an uptown record that was done by rest in peace Andre Harrell.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Damn. Yo, you sharp. You sharp. I gotta give you yours. You
Yeah,
sharp.
I appreciate, and I got the props like I'm a Black Moon. I got the props, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I try to make it two and two, you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
before you got signed to Cold Chillin', were there other labels in the bidding war, or were you just making
No.
homemade demos and just writing down the addresses off the back of the labels and sending demos in?
Nah. We made my brother dragged me to the studio and we made 2 joints. You know what I'm saying? My brother he was in college at the time and he was not a street dude, you know what I'm saying? And he was trying to give me the guidance to get me to stop fucking with the streets and go do music, but I was not trying to hear it. And just it just so happened when he did get me in there, I liked it. This shit, I was like, this shit is all right. You know what I'm saying? And so we had made 2 demos, and then like maybe 2 months afterwards, Bismarck had got a production deal, a 4 artist production deal, but he didn't have the artist. So he was scrounging around trying to find artists to fulfill the deal. And it just so happened he was cool with my man, this nigga named Jeff Spencer from Hempstead, and Jeff told him about me. And I got a deal just like that. So I wasn't like going from label to label. It just kind of fell in my lap.
So it's more kind of like networking, like, hey, I know this guy, he nice, and then you got put on that way. So what was it
Right.
like once you got onto Cold Chillin', knowing the legacy of Cold Chillin' with Marley Marl and Big Daddy Kane and everything that was pumping out of that label at the time, and it's still recognized worldwide to this day?
Um, I was excited, you know what I'm saying? But when I got there, like we didn't have like videos at this time, a lot of videos, or matter of fact, we did have videos. My bad, we did have videos, but we didn't have social media, so you didn't know these people's personalities. You know what I'm saying? These people was like more like a celebrity or something to you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't embrace the concept of celebrity, but you know what I'm saying? That's what it was. So you're looking at these people like celebrities until you meet them and realize that these motherfuckers is just like you. Everybody just regular motherfuckers. Ain't nothing super spectacular about this person that is not, nobody else has or can, you know what I'm saying, or can get. So once I started meeting other rappers, that kind of like made me be humble. You know what I'm saying? That's what I took from that whole experience. Like, be humble because everybody's is regular people. You know what I'm saying? So when people would come up to me like in awe and shit like that, I would tell them, yo, this shit that I'm doing, you could do the same thing, or some other shit that's better than that. You know what I'm saying? So I know I went off topic, but
No, 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 no. It's your time, it's your world, it's all good. So it's crazy how back during that time, regular and the celebrity would intermingle at various nightclubs, like your rooftops, Disco Fever, Harlem World, and then Latin Quarters. And if you went to Latin Quarters, you better be brave when you went in there, and you better not
oh
have
yeah,
on your fresh gear because you were gonna get stomped out.
yes, yes. Brooklyn was in there. Oh, in every club, Brooklyn was in there deep with that robbery shit, with snatching chain shit. Taking off your motherfucking leather bomb and niggas take your chiefkin off your back. And
Mm,
it's so many motherfuckers, you ain't got nothing, you can't do nothing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? If somebody snatch your chain and you look and it's 30 motherfuckers, what you gonna do?
Right. You
And
were just
you
gonna be
don't,
butt out.
yeah, you got your chain snatched, and that's what happened.
Right. And I also believe back during this time there was a gang run in New York called the Decepticons. Can you tell me a little bit about the
Decepticon.
Decepticons?
That was Brooklyn. I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Long Island, so that's not they ain't didn't have nothing to do with where I was.
Mm-hmm. All right. So tell me about the process of making your debut album and what was the setup like in the studio? And how did the sample come up to use I'm Your Puppet for something new?
Oh, well, actually, I heard that sample on Nice and Smooth. They didn't use it for a shout out, but they chopped it in half. They didn't let the whole sample play, and they didn't rhyme on it. They just used the shit to say what's up to this one and that one and that one. So I was like, if they not gonna rhyme on this shit or use the whole 4 bar phrase, I'm gonna jack this shit. And that's what I did. And then we put, you know what I'm saying? My homegirls from the town, Desi, Razia, and Tony, you know what I'm saying? They came to the studio. We didn't know what the hook was going to be. Cool V start humming to say some shit to go along with the piano. Ding, ding, ding. Like something new. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that shit came about.
And this was also during the time too where it was the early stages of sampling, and it was kind of like let's hope and pray that the song don't become a hit, so that way they don't come out the rest and collect. Because as we all know, infamously the story about Biz
Biz.
Marquis and Alone Again Naturally, which was originally done by Gilbert O'Sullivan. Once he found
Yeah.
out that it got sampled, he was like, "Nope, you're gonna pay me. I need a haircut." Album got yanked off the shelves.
850,000.
That,
Eight
that's how
hundred.
that's how much he was wanting for that sample.
Yeah, that's how much he had to pay in the lawsuit.
Wow.
And like you said, and they snatched it off the shelf. So now, not only do you got to pay me 850,000, now you can't sell this shit no more and make no more money.
Wow, that's crazy. So what I found crazy was at that time how they were able to chop the samples up and be so discreet about it to where it didn't catch the eye of whoever held the publishing of the song that was illegally sampled or
Right?
unauthorizedly sampled. Because I'm sure James Brown had missed out on a whole lot of money
Oh
before
yeah,
sampling started becoming legit.
yeah, yeah. But guess what? You still can go back. You know what I'm saying? Retroactively and get that money after I'm saying up to a certain time.
Oh, I
So
never I never knew that you could retroactively claim any lost money from samples. I never knew that.
yeah, your shit is your shit.
Hmm. That's so
Yeah,
crazy.
this is why I heard that the label was Tommy Boy was holding over
De La
De La
Soul.
Soul. Yeah, because they didn't clear a lot of them samples back then. So they were saying that when they wanted to get their masters and all that shit, like nah, because you didn't clear them samples, so we gotta pay to clear the shit. Whatever. I don't know how that worked out, but that was the leverage that they had
Mm,
over them.
crazy. And now I'll give you a little sidebar. I was listening to an interview with DJ Vlad that Speech from Arrested Development did, and he was saying once Tennessee broke out, became a huge hit, it sampled Alphabet Street by Prince. And once Prince found out that he was being sampled in the record, he actually cut them a break where he was like, I'm going to charge you a flat 100K and not the normal rate. And it wasn't until years later, once Speech realized that, oh, he did you all a favor. that it was like,
Yeah.
okay, sampling is a legit business, so we got to make sure all the paperwork and we go through all the necessary channels to get it properly cleared.
Only Hunt that, yeah, he did him a solid right there.
Hmm. Yeah, because
Really
sampling
well.
is no joke. So
And as Prince,
yep,
you know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
hmm, yeah, man. Because I was surprised that Prince let MC Hammer sample "When Doves Cry for Prey," and when Hammer said that he played it for Prince, and Prince gave it the seal of his approval, which was rare because Prince rarely, gives samples, and that's why it was shocking for me once Prince had passed that they released the remix to Bat Dance and couldn't find out Big Daddy Kane was on it. But that wasn't really a surprise looking at it because Cold Chillin' was also put out by Warner Brothers.
Right. A word I ain't know Kane was on that shit with Prince.
Yeah, it was on the remix for Bat Dance. It came out not too long after Prince had passed, but the soundtrack was, of course, on Warner Brothers, I believe, because that was the film company that the Batman movie was out through. So it made totally
Right,
perfect sense. So,
right,
was there
right.
some regions in the country outside of the Northeast that you were surprised where you got a lot of reception, like let's say the South, the Mid Atlantic, Southwest, or West Coast?
Yeah, the South, Texas. I had a number one joint in Texas. This is a recording. When that shit dropped, that shit was number one in Houston, and I was like, "Oh shit, word!"
So
Like
you're
Houston.
getting heavy airplay on the box.
Yeah, they showed me mad love in Houston, man. Word up.
Okay. Now, speaking of Houston, we can't skip over Houston without talking about the Godfather that laid down the blueprint of Southern rap, Jay Prince and Rap a Lot.
Mm. Jay Prince still making moves. I just saw him on Drink Champs the other day and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I saw that. We got to pay homage to the one that started off for Southern rap, and then of course we had Luke out of Miami with Luke Records and everything that
yeah,
came out of
yeah.
Memphis. Then the whole movement that came out of Atlanta.
Right. With the what they call it now, the trap.
Yeah, trap. Ti, Two
So
Chains.
who to you? So you from the South?
Yeah, I'm from North Carolina originally.
So who to you is the king of the South?
To me, the King of the South, that is a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with T.I.P. T.I. His Libra album is banging, and I felt that it took a while for everybody outside the South to catch on to T.I. because I've been on him since I'm serious, but everybody didn't really catch on to T.I. outside of the Southern region until trap music or urban legend, depending on when you came into the game.
Mm, okay. See, I'm from New York. So to us, the king of the South is Scarface.
Yeah, the Diary, dope record, dope album. Scarface was
Scarface is that nigga, yo.
one of the best storytellers in the game. His albums, masterpieces, bar none. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Jay Prince, Rap a Lot Records, once again,
Right.
out of Houston, Texas. And then
And the
also,
longevity of, you know what I'm saying, his career too, you know what I'm saying? Because he been doing it from way back. Because when I started, when I came to Houston, like I said, because I had a joint, I'm there. I met them niggas there when they were the Ghetto Boys. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? So that's in my first shit was 90. So he at least got 30 years of the game because I got 30.
mm. All right. So outside of Houston, were there any other spots like the Midwest, like Detroit, St. Louis, or any places where you're like, man, this record is really taking off? Because it was also around this time where, unless you were from New York, and then of course 91, 92, LA started bubbling nationwide, but it was primarily New York based. Where if you weren't from New York, it was hard to get airplay nationally on radio.
Nah, everywhere we went, we was popping everywhere. So I mean, just like I mentioned Houston because that was the first single when I dropped the first actual joint that this is a recording. That was the place that I got the most love, even over New York.
Wow.
But then when something new came out and Sugar Free and all that shit, it was everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, were there some records during the recording of the Smooth Assassin album that you had a chance to do, but ended up saying, nah, I'm going to save it for the sophomore album, or just scrap it all together and it ended up becoming something for somebody else?
Nah, we only scrapped like I think two joints, and them shits ain't never surfaced again. And one of them had my man trying to sing, but he ain't no singer, and that shit was terrible.
Now, who primarily handled most of the production on the debut album?
Me and my brother, and Cool V and DJ Doc was the overseer. Doc was the engineer. DJ Doc was the engineer for everybody. Shit back then, everybody like from EPMD to whoever you could name. But Cool V is, Biz is DJ. He was the one in the studio. Biz was not in the studio, but he was the overseer.
And if you don't know who Cool V is, look back at the video The Vapors, or you can catch him on Have a Nice Day with Roxanne Shante
Roxanne
on
Shante
Sirius
on
XM.
Rock the Bells radio.
Yeah, definitely got to do that. And your
Never knew.
process, yeah, your process in the studio is more so where you got to hear the beat first and then write, or you go off, write first, hear the beat later, and then make your lyrics fit to the beat.
No, I make my own beats for the most part. So I make the beat first, and however the beat come out, whatever the beat, however it sounds, whatever the emotion or the mood of the beat dictates what I write. You know what I mean? It's a mood. It's like a feeling. You know what I'm saying? Certain beats make me want to write party shit. Certain beats make me want to write some girl shit, or a story, or want to give you some deep some shit from my experience in the hood. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on the music, the arrangements, and the instrumentality of the beat. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Strings bring out like drama, emotion. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Horns can make you want to fuck a nigga up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, it varies. Now, what was your production setup of choice? Did you use a Insonique? Did you use a MPC? Or what was the equipment that you
the
were using?
SP12, the SP1200 and the Car 950. That was what I started with. That was
Mm,
like that was like if you was New York hip hop or East Coast hip hop, that was the setup right there. The SP1200 and the motherfucking the Car 950. That's what Pete Rock, uh, Large Professor, all them niggas was using.
right.
Lord Finesse is the one that taught me how to use that shit.
And if you don't know who Lord Finesse is, type in digging in
And
the
the craze,
crates.
indeed.
Definitely got to type in digging the crates. Now, jumping into digging in the crates, how did you end up on the graveyard on Big L's album along with Jay-Z, Party Artie, and Lord Finesse was on that record as well, correct?
Right, right.
How did you end up getting on that?
Because at the time we was on Coachella had that distribution deal with Epic, and so we was in the Columbia, the Sony building, and Big L had just signed with Columbia, so we in the building, and he saw me, you know what I'm saying, and he told his rep like, "Yo, that's that nigga Granddaddy IU, like that's one of my favorite rappers." So they was like, "Yo," they introduced us and shit. He was like, "Yo, man, I want you to get on a joint with me and shit." I was like, "All right, nothing," you know what I'm saying? It was, and that's what it was. So we exchanged numbers and shit. So he called me one day. Was like, "Yo, can you come down to Power Play?" That was the studio that all the motherfuckers was going to. That's, you know what I mean. And so yeah, I went down there and we just knocked it out. Buck Wild had the beat. They gave everybody pen and pad. I think it was like 6 or 7 of us. Everybody wrote they shit on the spot. I think everybody had his shit already, but everybody else had to write their shit on the spot and go in.
Mm-hmm. And you
And
mentioned Buck Wild. Buck Wild part of Boot Camp Click, and you also did work with. No, he
no,
wasn't
no,
part of Boot Camp Click.
he DOC or DITC. He
Digging in the
DITC.
crates, digging in the crates.
Right.
Now, boot camp clip was Helter Skelter. Now, tell me
Right.
about your work with Helter Skelter.
Yeah, I did I produced two joints on their Magnum Force album and shit. I did the title track Magnum Force, and I did Forget Me Nots. And how that came about, they was using the studio. My man had a studio out in Long Island, and they was using my man Jake and my man Early B. So they was going to that studio, and I come in there one day, they there. Like, oh shit. I didn't know them, they ain't know me, but we knew who each other. And at this time, I'm in another studio making beats. So when they found that I made beats, they want to listen to some shit. And they came and listened and picked out two joints automatically. And then the rest was history. You know what I
And
mean?
boot camp clip, great collective, grimy New York hip hop, and also you did work with DAS Effects. Now, I'm from North Carolina, but I'm 30 minutes away from Petersburg, Virginia. They went to Virginia State University. Now
Mm-hmm.
they had Day One Effects. So how'd you end up linking up with DAS Effects?
Oh, because my man, Crazy Drazy, they used to stay out in Long Island. You know what I'm saying? And I'm from Long Island, of course, like you already know. And, through mutual friends, we happened to link up. And he was like, you know, they was in between deals at the time. And so they was looking for beats. So they heard I made beats. They came through, listened to a bunch of joints. They picked out what they wanted. And that's, you know what I mean? And that's what it was. But then me and him, we started hanging out. And we became cool. I don't know where he at now, but shout out to him wherever you at. Drazy, what up, my nigga? Salute.
Mm. Now you mentioned that Method Man is from Hempstead, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Terrace Avenue.
Okay. So did you end up hearing a lot of the early Wu stuff before Enter the Wu came out, or were you just as surprised as everybody was when Enter the Wu 36 Chambers dropped in Protect Your Neck?
No, I didn't know. I didn't even know he was from Hempstead because he's younger than me. You know what I'm saying? I found out later on. I'm like, oh shit. I doubted. I'm like, that nigga ain't from Hempstead. Sure enough, come out. Matter of fact, on my album right now, he started out. He started out the first line back on 100 Terrace Ave, telling the story about being on Terrace Avenue in Hempstead. But yeah, when the Wu Tang came out, I was just as surprised as everybody else. I ain't even know because uh the Jizza was just on the label with me as the Genius on Cold Chillin'. His first album came out on Cold Chillin'.
That was
His
when he
first
had
single,
the Come Do Me record, right?
yeah, girl, come do me. Yeah, we went on. We went on a promotional tour together, and then A Sean was on tour with him. You know what I'm saying? Old Dirty, he was one of his hype men. You know what I'm saying? And but they didn't have it was the Wu Tang at that time. So when it came out as a collective and it's Wu Tang, and I seen the Jizza, and then the fucking Old Dirty, and I'm like, oh shit, this shit crazy. And it was totally different from the Girl Come Do Me shit.
Right. What I
And it was
found
that shit.
interesting and crazy about Wu was that you had nine MCs, all of them can spit. But what was even more amazing was how RZA was able to go to Steve Rifkin over at Loud and say, "Hey, look, you're not gonna have right of first refusal. We want nine separate solo deals on separate labels, so that way we control our own career." Because I didn't know about RZA having that 12-inch deal with Tommy Boy until the documentary about Wu Tang, and then of course the Hulu series.
See, I didn't know. But he obviously he was studying, you know what I'm saying? He was studying his business. Cause that was the smartest move ever. The smartest move ever. Cause imagine if they had the whole Wu sign solo deals all under one label. That shit wouldn't come on, man.
Yeah, and for those of you that
That
don't know, that what happens when a group signs to a label is that labels have what's called right of first refusal, where if a member
mm-hmm.
leaves to go solo, they have the option to put a solo record out on you.
I
That's what
don't know.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what
Mm,
happened. Once Bobby got voted out a New Edition, MCA picked up the solo option and it paid dividends. Now, was it the same thing where with Buster, because Buster was with LONS, Leaders of the New School, and then he had his star turn on the Scenario remix, and then that led to his big legendary solo career and put out the banging album ELE 2. So was it where
right.
you never knew of Buster, even though it's from Hempstead by him being,
No,
years younger?
nah. Me and Buster met at 510. That's the studio where Chuck D and them make they shit out of before he got on and shit. But he not from Hempstead. He's from actually from Uniondale, the next town over.
Mm.
But yeah, I knew Buster already before the shit before he started popping and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, 'cause he used to be down there at the Chuck and them studio.
So he was down there kind of just, hanging around and just kind of soaking
Yeah,
up
nah,
and just wanting to get his feet wet.
they was making demos and shit. They was making their shit.
So this was LONS, Leaders of the New School.
Yeah, before they came out though.
Okay, before just another case of that old PTA, before everybody knew of LONS. Wow, so this crazy how you're
Right.
right around at this time when everybody was exploding. So what was the process for you going from the debut album and then the sophomore album Lead Pipe, which came out in '94? What was the mindset going to the studio for your sophomore record?
My mindset, my dad was just to change my shit up so I would stop motherfuckers from telling me I sound like Rakim. So that shit had got under my skin so bad, I changed my whole style up because like I never saw it. You know what I'm saying? Like how I still to this day don't see it, but everybody will say, "Nigga, you came out sounding like Rakim," because we both got a deep voice. If you listen to songs, the flow, the cadence, nothing is the same. But that was the shit that niggas was saying, and the shit got to me so bad where I switched my whole shit up on the lead pipe, and I ended up if I don't that is the shit that I like the least. That album I don't even recognize the album. My man's gonna be mad, be like, nah, that shit is good. But I like, nah, that wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm,
was I should have just stuck to the script. You know what I'm saying? Instead of letting that other shit bother me. Fuck what these niggas talk about. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right. And this was back in the days, people, where it was no biting allowed, where
Right.
creativity was 100% at a premium, where you didn't want to come off sounding like the next Joe Smo. You wanted to be your own unique self. So you would lock yourself in a room or rehearsal studio and just rehearse, 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 rehearse. So by the time you got your deal and hit the stage, people knew that you were nothing to play with.
Mm, exactly.
Yeah, that you were nothing to play with at all. So, also around this time, we mentioned earlier your production work with Helter Skelter, with Daz Effects. So, tell me about you linking up with Large Professor. If you don't know Large Professor, look up the main source, Breaking Atoms. We mentioned the SP 1200, Large Pro, a
Yes,
whiz
sir.
at the SP, and he's responsible for bringing Nasty Nas into the game on the main source record Live at the Barbecue with Joe Fatal, Akinelli, classic record.
Yes, sir. Lost Professor, extra P. Shout out to my man Paul. I met Paul, you know what I'm saying, through Cold Chillin' because he was doing a lot of production work for Cool G Rap back in the days. I don't know, if you know that, but you probably do because you obviously a hip hop historian. But yeah, he was doing a lot of production work for Cool G Rap, so I met him there. But then later on, when I moved back to Queens to Rochdale, you know what I'm saying, he was cool with my man Mikey D, and so we connected again, and you were like, yo, I want to produce a joint for you. You know what I'm saying? And he played me some joints, and I picked out one. I picked out this joint called what was that shit called? The Mac of the Year, and that shit ended up being on my Stick to the Script album and shit. And then later on, I did a verse on his. I forgot what the album was called, but it was me, him, and Mike Geronimo on a track called Mac Don Ills on Lost Professor album. I think it was like maybe 2014, 13 or something like that.
Okay. And like I said, Large Professor is known for the SP12. Now, as far as programming the SP,
Right.
what was the most difficult thing about it? Because this is right around during the time, once again, where sampling time was limited, and it was pretty much almost where if you read the manual, it just gave you just enough basics, but it was all about trial and error where you had to figure out what works for you and your production style.
Yeah, man, that shit was so frustrating trying to learn that shit because, you know, like you said, it only got 8 seconds total of the sampling time. So you gotta speed up the fucking sample and then slow it back down. Or once you slow it back down, you like losing bit rate, so you're losing the quality of the shit. It's like, yeah, you had to use your brain. Like you had to study the record first before you sample it and know what parts to chop and put back together. You know what I'm saying? Chopping is like a science. It's like you got to be surgical with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so you can take that 8 seconds if you know what you're doing and make a whole new shit like and and even the motherfucker that made it don't even know recognize that this came from that if you know
Right.
what you're doing.
Right. And
You
it
know?
was crazy with a lot of the setups where before you would go to the major studio to put the finishing touches or the polish on it, it was primarily at a home studio. So to
At the
think about a
crib,
lot of those early records that, Marley Marl did, that Teddy Riley
reproduction.
did, and how they were sonic and changing the landscape of music. Cause I remember I was looking at a video about Marley Marl breaking down how he made the beat for Make the Music with Your Mouth, and how he
Right,
heard the show by Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, and how he wanted to add a shaker to it because
right,
Teddy had the shaker, but because
right.
he couldn't get the shaker, he had to do some Make the Music with his mouth, literally, with in order to
Right.
get the shaker in there. So it's just crazy to see how innovative a lot of these producers became with the limited resources that they had due to the limited
Yeah.
technology of the day.
Ingenuity. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make it happen with what you got.
Mm. Was
And
there,
that
yeah, now, was there
yeah.
a producer that you really wanted to work with, but for some reason you never had a chance to, that you wish you really would have had a chance to work with?
Yeah, man. Fucking Premier, Pete Rock. Every time I see Pete Rock, yo, Pete Rock, where my beat, man? Come on, man. I got you. I got you. I got you. I ain't get that motherfucker yet, but it's all good. Well, yeah, Pete Rock, Premier, especially Premier. Um, uh, Timbo, Timbo. But I'm saying like he more like a R&B type of, but he got that shit that he
Right.
you if just like I would want some shit from Timberland like he gave Jay-Z that slow shit it wasn't never was single damn
It was
I
an
can't
album cut.
yeah you hot you're hot some shit you know what I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah,
rock the
yeah, yeah.
block some
Yeah, I
shit
know, I
like
know
that
what you're talking about. Yeah, that's crazy. And speaking of producers being more on the R&B tip, Target just did a commercial sample doing Mary J. Blige "Real Love," and the producers behind "Real Love," of course, was Prince, Marky D, and Corey
right
Rooney. Now, a lot of
right
people tend to look at Prince, Marky D as only, oh, that's that guy from the Fat Boys. I'm like, no, production wise, he was
yeah
nothing to play with. Him and Corey
yeah
Rooney.
yeah exactly and at the time I remember because believe it or not, they made that. They was making that shit at this dude named Ali, this Iranian cat named Ali, lived across the street from me in Hempstead at my mom's crib at this time. When they did when Marky D and them did that shit, and Marky D's Corey Rooney's brother-in-law, what is his name? He's a writer. You know what I'm saying? They write R&B. I remember when they did that shit. And we had no idea that shit was going to be so fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? That shit took off. The magnitude, the impact when that shit dropped was bananas. But that shit was, they did that shit right across the street from her
That's
mom's
that's
spread.
crazy in the way that they flipped Audio 2's top billing and how
Yes,
they were able to mesh R&B and hip hop because of course we had
right.
Teddy meshing R&B and hip hop with New Jack Swing, and then of course we had Andre Harrell, everything that came out of Uptown. They were just taking hip hop break beats and having singers sing over them, like with Mary J, with
Yeah, and had a
Intro,
keyboard motherfucker.
Jodeci, and it had that edge. That hip
Right,
hop head's like, okay, I can get to it. Even though it was
right,
R&B, it had that hardness of hip hop.
right. That's why they call her the queen of hip hop soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Long as you got hip hop as the foundation, you can't go wrong.
right. Now you mentioned earlier Rakim. Can you tell me about what was so monumental about Rakim? Because everybody looks at Rakim as that's when rap changed, vocally, aesthetically, everything. Can you talk about the importance of Rakim in hip hop?
The lyricism that it always goes to me, it always goes back to lyricism. That's the God MC. You hear the shit that he's saying, like when somebody's saying some shit that you gotta think as even as a rapper, you be like, damn, how the fuck did he think of that? You know what I'm saying? And it's me. I always listen to lyrics. But him, um, Cool G Rap, some Big Daddy Kane, but the two to me, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, lyricists where he be like, how in the fuck did he think of that? So back to your question, I think the jazzy the shit that he was rapping on, you know what I'm saying, was like jazzy. His jazz is because he tell you that he was influenced by that, you know what I'm saying, tremendously. But that that was a whole different look on like, oh shit. And then the voice and back to the lyrics. Plus he was God by it, so he was dropping knowledge. You know what I'm saying? He dropping jewels on motherfuckers at the same time. Like, damn, nigga, he really doing it and at the same time giving you some real shit, some stuff, fucking substance. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Mm-hmm. And this is right around, we had the 5% nation, 5%ers, and
right,
everybody
right.
was dropping jewels. So if you go back and listen to Rakim, listen to
Brand
X
Ian,
Clan, PE, Poor Righteous Teachers, they were kicking a lot of knowledge, based
yeah,
off of the teachings and
Grand
philosophies of
Poobah,
the Grand Puba, Brand Nubian, off of the 5% nation.
yeah. So yeah, that's that. Matter of fact, I wish they would bring that shit back right now. You know what I'm saying? Because everything's been so fucking dumbed down. It's like the
Right.
message is gone. Message is
Right.
fucked. The message that they sending right now is fucked up.
Right, because it was a balance where you had your conscious hip hop, you had your gritty street hip hop, and then you had your pop hip hop, and it all meshed all together. And I think the one
Right,
thing in golden era hip hop that I wish we would have gotten, but we never did, we never got a Native Tongues collaborative album. We got features on records, but never a
right.
full album with the whole Native Tongues ensemble. That would have been really dope.
Yeah, but there's too many of them motherfuckers though. That shit would
Right.
have had to be. That shit would have had to be a
A
two
double
album.
disc, a double disc,
Yeah,
a double album, or a double cassette, you probably had to pay at least $20 at Camelot or whatever music store. Now,
well,
also,
Camelot.
yeah, now also during this time too, I'm thinking about back in the days where if you really wanted to look fly, be fresh, you would go see Dapper Dan. Dapper
Yeah,
Dan was the man. He had everybody wanting to rock his stuff, and it's good to see now how Gucci, a lot of these luxury brand fashion houses are saying we were wrong for ridiculing you, for lashing out at you, for taking our wear and making it urban chic, because they now know the value of the urban dollar and how much money that it brings.
yeah. They've been making money of us forever, forever. You know what I'm saying? And always you find out they don't want us wearing ain't shit. Like I don't know if it's real or not, but I heard that Timberland didn't want niggas wearing his boots, and you know what I'm saying? And certain like high fucking top tier fucking fashion design like Gucci and Versace and niggas like that didn't want us to wear their shit, but we still keep wearing that shit. Just like Cristal didn't want us having they fucking champagne in videos.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We still do it, still give niggas the money, and they still give us their ass to kiss. But
Right. But
you
once
know,
again,
some,
it goes back to being in those spaces where you don't have enough diverse voices in the room and saying, no, they're making you money. They're going to help enhance your brand. And that's why it's important to have people in the room in these decision making roles that understand and know the culture, not just wanting to profit off of it.
yeah. I mean, but even when you do have a diverse cast or a diverse board, or what I'm saying, in the decision making, motherfuckers be sellouts, man. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers be sellouts. So just because motherfuckers got the same skin color as you, a lot of times that don't mean that they got your best interest at
Skin
all.
folk ain't your kinfolk.
Exactly, especially when it comes to that motherfucking that check.
Yeah, like what Divine Sounds will say, what people do
Oh, dude.
for
For a month.
money.
Exactly. And that look how old that is. That this shit goes back to the beginning of time.
Right.
Niggas
And
sold Jesus out.
yeah, man, like I said, you just got to watch yourself and kind of keep yourself on guard. Now, during this time, 94, great time for New York. Biggie about to come out with Ready to Die. Then, of course, everything that was coming out west, the whole West Coast movement was a totally different vibe because New York's
Right.
beats was very fast. Boom, boom, probably like 100 plus beats per minute. But once you heard a Dre production, it was very slow, melodic because out west, it was a totally different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Yeah.
was it like with the contrast in hearing, your stuff like your Keen Tees, your Two Shorts, everything that was coming out of the West?
Well, I like I like music because I grew up on all types of different music. So some of the music that was coming out of the West Coast, I was digging it. I was digging it, but I wasn't keen on the rappers. To me, the rappers wasn't lyric. You know what I'm saying, like they wasn't as tight as the niggas from the town. You know what I'm saying, from New
Mm.
York. So I didn't. I was sleeping on them because I think I think Ice Cube might have been the first motherfucker that I was like, all right, these niggas is spitting. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like I like because we got Easy E. I'm like, God bless his dead, but Easy E, come on, son. That nigga wasn't no rapper. He was not nice with the bars. He ain't had bars and his flow was offbeat and all that. And I'm not dissing him. You know what I'm saying? But it was that type of shit that I was like, come on, son. So when I started hearing, um, I liked it Ice T because he was talking the gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? But it took me a while to really get the West Coast they props.
Right. And of course we had Compton Most Wanted, MC8 and everything. And then you
It's the
mentioned
eight
Q,
night by man.
yeah,
That that nigga.
Spice One.
Right, right.
Yeah, you mentioned Ice Cube. Ice Cube came to New York to work with the Bomb Squad on America's Most
Yeah.
Wanted, and it had that PE sound where it was aggressive in your face.
And that
And
shit was made right there in Hempstead at
wow,
510 South Franklin Street, Hempstead, New York. They had Ice Cube in the town making the shit.
wow, that's crazy. That's what we do here at Beyond the Album Cover. We get exclusives. Now, 94, Illmatic comes out by Nas, and then also Ready to Die by Biggie. So,
Right.
what was your take on hearing those two landmark albums and knowing that Nas is going to be a problem, and Biggie was like, okay, this is something.
I thought Nas was the most prolific shit ever. I was like, yo, holy mackerel. Because I used to see Nas at Coogee Rap Crib just sitting down, just writing all the time before he came out and shit, before the barbecue and all that shit. And so when I heard his album, though, I was like, yo, that Illmatic shit, that shit was, that shit was like mind blowing to me. Like, that was, motherfuckers was, you know, doing hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Like from from their from their experience from the hood, they was telling their stories and their experiences, but nobody was that graphic with it and so vivid and poetic at the same time. The way he put it together was like, yo, this shit here was special. I knew it was special. Like, damn. And Biggie just like more the style than the lyrics for me. It was more the style, the flow, the cadence. He was like the way he just danced on the beat, but saying the craziest, funniest shit. Like he's more witty to me. But Nas was like that gritty, like this shit is real. This when you hear his shit, like this is what's really happening in the hood.
Right. Paints a pretty picture. And his
Vivid picture.
album, King's Disease, one of my top rap albums of 2020. What had me on that whole album, it was done flawlessly, top to bottom, production by Hit Boy, and was the track that he had with The Firm. He reunited The Firm on one of the tracks on King Disease. And I was like, oh man, Foxy and AZ. People need to give AZ his flowers.
Yeah, AZ is crazy, and that is the one motherfucker, the one time that I say Nas got bodied on his own shit, on fucking life sufficient, then you die.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like AZ better than Nas, and that was the first time we ever hearing AZ.
Wow.
That's the
Man,
first time I
that
guess
is
everybody
crazy.
heard him because, and I was like, yo, after all this shit I just fucking consumed listening to the Nas shit, the Illmatic, and then when it gets to that, here come another motherfucker that I never heard of before, that body, the nigga that just blew me away with this shit. Like,
Right.
imagine that.
Right. Who would have known? And also go back to the graveyard record with Big L. Jay-Z
Mm.
was on that. Was this pre Reasonable Doubt before
Yeah,
him, Biggs, and Dame formed Rockefeller?
yeah, yeah. Like it was in that time when they was doing they shit. You know what I'm saying? When they was first doing it before they blew up. But they
Mm-hmm.
had a relationship,
Mm. And then
L
this,
and J.
yeah, yeah, and to see where Jay Z is, rap's first billionaire, and it's almost like when he comes out with something, you anticipate it because like him, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, they don't be all out there like that. But when they
Right,
do put out something, it speaks volumes because you rarely hear from them. They dictate to you, you don't dictate to them.
right. When you get to that level, you can do that. Just like Beyonce, she can drop whatever she want to at any time, 2 o'clock in the morning, without no promotion, no warning, and that shit is out of here.
Right. Right. And we gotta mention this guy right here, production on Reasonable Doubt, and he's from my neck of the woods, North Carolina, Ski Beats. His production on Reasonable
Mm,
Doubt, Camp Low, Uptown Saturday
right.
Night, and Original
Oh, he's
Flavor.
actually from North Carolina. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, he's from Greensboro.
Oh shit. I always
Yeah,
thought he was from New York.
no, he's from Greensboro because actually he was in this rap group called the Busy Boys, and a friend of mine used to be a dancer for that group when he was a kid. Rap name at the time was Will Ski. So for me, being from North Carolina, to see him come up, I'm like, okay, man, North Carolina, we're finally on the map, because we had him, Jodeci, Anthony Hamilton, and then to see now with J. Cole, Rhapsody, and then of course we had Little Brother come out of North Carolina as well.
Right,
So it's good to
right,
see, my home state as a whole really come on the scene and do well. Then you put out the album Pimp. Paper is my priority. What was the process going in there? And interesting name title. Beautiful name title, by the way. Paper is my
right.
priority. That should be your motto in life, people. Paper is my priority.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that was just like I don't when I get ready to make some music, I don't like have a theme or nothing. I just make what I make. I just go according to whatever the vibe dictates. You know what I'm saying? And then when I feel like I got certain joints that are cohesive. You know what I'm saying? Then I'd say I don't this don't match the batch. This one matches. You know what I'm saying? And I put those songs together, put a track list. That's it. You
So
know what
it's
I'm saying?
more of just go with the vibe. Let's see
Yes,
what
it's a vibe.
sticks. Let's see what flows. And if it don't flow, take this out, put this in, and then whatever comes out, comes out.
Yeah, it's just a vibe. I just go off the vibe.
And
Cause when
that
cause
tends
when
to be the best art.
yeah, because once when you trying to focus on making a certain particular joint, like I think you take away from the 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 the, the genuine art. You know what I'm saying? Because it's supposed to be just from your heart, whatever you feeling at the time. You know what I'm saying? Or what you was not, not so much like, okay, I want this to sound like this right here. I wanna nah, man, just fuck with it and see what you come up with, and then you build on top of that.
Mm. And you mentioned earlier Coogee Rap. If you don't know Coogee Rap, folks, look him up. Coogee Rap, DJ Polo. Man, I first heard Coogee Rap. It was the Fast Life record that he had with Nas with samples,
That's the
Happy.
first time you heard Coogee rap. Oh my god!
Gotta remember, with me being like 5, 6 years old when that era came out, I was going back and listening to that. But it
Right.
had me sold on the Happy sample by Surface. And
Mm-hmm.
then going back and listening to his verse on Don't Curse, with Heavy D, rest in peace, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, Big Daddy Kane, Q Tip. His verse
Yeah.
was just as hard, didn't even curse. And of course, everybody knows of Poison. And because of that song, you're eating good
Right.
off of that because, BBD sample his
Right.
vocal for Poison. And then, of course, Busta Rhymes sample Poison on ELE2. So
Right.
big shout out to Cool G Rap. Now,
Yes,
was
sir.
there one MC you felt from doing that golden era that you felt was underrated, but because of maybe label not giving them enough attention, didn't really get the push that they should have?
From that era, I would have to say Cool G Rap because you know what I'm saying. Even though we know it, Cool G Rap should have been big, just like whoever everybody mentioned it in they top five right now, from Rakim and Big Daddy Kane or whoever they mentioned, KRS One, Tupac, Biggie, whoever you can mention, they all are in some way connected to somebody that was influenced by Cool G Rap, because Big Pun was heavily influenced by Cool G Rap. So many motherfuckers. Me, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but you don't hear his name mentioned. If you ask motherfuckers who they top 10, he won't even probably be mentioned in the top 10. He should be way up there.
Mm. And we mentioned Big Pun. I felt had Pun, would have not tragically passed so soon, Pun would have been up in everybody's top 10, top 5.
Yeah.
Pun was the Capital Punishment album.
He's still
Listen,
he's still making it in some people's top fives to this day. He's still making it in certain people's. You know what I mean?
mm, mm. Now, do you have any new projects coming out or anything that's out currently?
Not musically. You know what I'm saying? Besides, if you know about the Essence, that's already out right now. That came out in July 22nd. That's a compilation of me doing all the beats. I got Lost Professor on it. I got I got Craig G on it. Rod Digger, Bumpy Knuckles, Lil Fame from MOP, General Still from Smith and Wesson. I got Sadat X. I got Monifa, the singer. Um, I got a whole all star cast on there. It's called Granddaddy IU presents the Essence, and it's out on
Mm.
every digital platform right now. You know what I'm saying? And all that. You go to my Bandcamp, granddaddy.iu.bandcamp.com. You can get that. You can get all my previous projects, and yeah.
All right, definitely check all of that out. And what's your take on the current state of New York hip hop with a lot of the new young cats coming out of New York?
New York hip hop don't sound like New York hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, they got niggas is doing the drill music, which is Chicago shit. You know what I'm saying? Niggas is doing the trap, which is the South shit. Everybody doing everything but New York shit. Besides, Griselda, Millie Blanco and Conway and the niggas from, you know,
Buffalo.
Buffalo holding it down. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Pardon me, man. I've been drinking and
Nah,
smoking.
nah, nah, nah. You good. You good. You good. It's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Cause me, when I think of NY hip hop, I think of that hard, gritty, makes you want to
right,
go get some Tims and Mean Mug,
right.
and it just has a certain aesthetic. Cause when you hear, let's say, a down south record, you're gonna hear a record that's a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more pep, a little bit more
Right.
slang. And when you hear a West Coast record, it's going to be a little bit more laid back and chill because that's how it is out
G
west.
Funk.
Each region has their
Right.
own
Got
distinct
no
flavor, their
sound.
distinct sound.
Right. Just like, the Bay had the high fee shit. And, back in the day, even still now, DC got the go-go, the go-go shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And just like you said, Cali with the G Funk and all that is like New York had the boom back. But that shit is gone, man. And my man Rock Marcy, and the Griselda, you know what I'm saying? The boys, they the ones that's keeping it alive.
Mm-hmm. And I got to give a big shout out before we close this interview to my boy B Down from the org for putting us in touch and setting this interview up. So shout out to B Down and Clinton,
Salute,
the
salute,
org.
salute.
Salute. You can catch that interview along with this interview on all streaming platforms for Beyond the Album Cover and on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JA5. Now, do you have any shout outs you want to give before we wrap up this interview, Granddaddy IU?
Just want to shout out, man, my brother KC. You know what I'm saying? He the one that got me to doing this shit. My man Easy Rake, rest in peace. Shorty Shy, be on the lookout for my man Shorty Shy. John Jiggs, Inf the God, Marquis. That's it, man. My daughter Muffin.
All right, there you have it, folks. Granddaddy IU on Beyond the Album Cover with your boy. Thank you so very much for taking the time and doing this interview.
Appreciation.
Thank you.